It's now time for the news. In our first story, some coronavirus patients in Obuasi have been relocated to an isolation center under tight security. The transfer follows a successful takeover of the facility by armed members of the COVID-19 Security Task Force. The team forcibly broke into the private facility at a Kapriso suburb, put under key and lock by some angry residents who have been protesting the siting of the center, locked and blocked the two main entrances and road leading to the facility with padlocks and concrete blocks. Ohimi Teria of our health desk monitored the operation and brings us a story.
Out of 43,611 cumulative specimens collected in all districts in Ashanti, Obuasi accounts for the highest number of over 4,000. The town is the first in the region to have begun contact tracing after recording the first confirmed COVID-19 case. With support from mining giant AngloGold Ashanti, Obuasi has a strong COVID-19 task force whose control and command center provides 24-hour support service. Same, however, cannot be said of the attitude of the public, especially market women. They exhibit their doubts about existence of coronavirus by flouting with impunity every social distance protocol, exposing the town's 220,000 population to risk.
Yeah, was the funny work man. You do teach yeah, ni say Alena ewo. Obi hasn't found a new way. Yate. That's why I need to say I was social distance. And I'm a boy. So I would give you. And can you social distancing? Can't you see I mamma and care for Faroso? Uba, I will be. And Nama Yetoni, I say I won't lie.
Ebi no mo getting you say. One more abani na Yahunipano. Yana before, say me turn a junior, I live Yamia. Nasa by Abafam Quano, Yamia, but me turn a junior be my young talk. My young Sati and Nipa, Sana be before tea. Yet the Sabbath tram to say, Mammy way. Yalen Biano, Yadinoquaha, and they say, Abasa and Quai, and Kalakura whom on bed Johnny.
The situation has compelled local authorities to close to business two major markets which share about 3,000 traders between them. Obuasi Municipal Chief Executive Elijah Adansibona tells Joy News people openly demand to see COVID-19 patients to be convinced. He describes such negative attitude as worrying amid the national effort to overcome. Obuasi is gradually becoming the epicenter of COVID-19 in the Ashanti region. The area, as at Monday, May 10, 2020, has recorded 261, more than half of 483 COVID-19 cases recorded in the entire Ashanti region. Local and health authorities are concerned with the surge in coronavirus cases despite efforts to curb the spread. They blame lack of attitudinal change on the part of residents, especially market women, for throwing caution, including social distancing protocols, to the wind. Health authorities met strong resistance from residents of Akaporisoo suburb as they prepare an isolation center for some COVID-19 patients. The angry youth blocked the main road to the facility and put the main entrance under lock and key because the center could pose health risk to the community. They also packed concrete blocks to block one of the main entrances. After several attempts to convince the angry youth to rescind their decision failed, the Obuasi East Assembly resolved to use force.
We've given them enough education for about 2-3 days. We've spoken with them. The head directorate has gone to speak with them. The chief, the assembly member, the unit committee, we've met them. They are still resisting. So the next option is force. So today, all things being equal, we will have to send them there because we can't continue keeping them in their various homes because most of them share basic facilities with other people in their homes. So today we had a dissect meeting and we concluded that the security personnel should make sure that the people pave way for the patient to be taken to the center.
Pray. The community is not happy of the decision of the convent committee and the assembly to evacuate our brothers and sisters who have been infected with the virus to be isolated in that community.
At about 8 p.m. Monday, all was set for the COVID-19 task force to come face to face with the angry youth. Obuasi District Commander DSP Martin Asenso is leading the charge.
If the road has been blocked, we shall go there and remove them. If you have any person or persons gathered, we shall also arrest them.
The armed team forcibly broke padlocks to pave way for the transfer of the patients to the facility. In less than an hour, the operation was over. DSP Martin Asenso is the Obuasi District Commander. He says all isolation centers will be henceforth manned by armed security personnel.
The inhabitants went and locked the main door of the compound. They used their own padlock to, lock the place. So I have to break in to make access to that particular place. At the moment, we have put security there, 24-hour guard for that particular place, because if you don't do this, it will also affect other community that, when we are bringing this, the people say, I don't agree, why are you bringing this place? You know that. So this is what the decision the DASEC have taken, the COVID committee have taken, they are going to abide for this matter.
From Obuasi, for Joy News, Ohimintiwia reporting.
Now, with the ban on religious gatherings extended to the end of May, the Eid al-Fitr celebrations, which commemorate the end of the month of Ramadan, would not be observed for the first time in the life of many Muslims across Ghana. What does this mean to the Muslim community? And how are they reacting to this ban, which is set to affect their Eid celebrations? Anasabit has been engaging some Muslims in Techimang and filed the following reports.
In my address to workers and the nation on May Day, I announced the extension of the closure of our borders for one more month as the means to continue halting the importation of the virus into our country. Tonight, I've come into your homes to announce that the ban on public gatherings, as set out in Executive Instrument number 64, has been extended also to the end of the month, i.e. 31st May.
This announcement by the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, in his last address to the nation means that the Eid al-Fitr, a celebration which marks the end of the month of Ramadan, cannot be observed in a congregational manner by Muslims across the country. Now, in the first place, what is Eid al-Fitr? And what is the stance of this celebration to the Muslim Ummah? Sheikh Mansour Anas is an Islamic cleric.
Before the immigration of the Prophet ﷺ from Mecca to Medina, the people of Medina used to celebrate in their own way before the arrival of the Prophet ﷺ. When the Prophet ﷺ reached Medina, he said, Allah has replaced the two is that they used to celebrate with two which are better than what they used to do, the Eid al-Fitr and the Eid al-Adha. So it is very important in Islam for us to have these 2 days in a year to celebrate our religion and then meet our friends, family, and then enjoy the moments when it's really that time.
Sheikh Mansour tells me that though the celebration of the Eid is important to the Muslim world, its ban in a congregational manner does not affect the month-long fast being observed by Muslims.
The Eid al-Fitr usually occur or happen on the first day of the month of Shawwal, which is the 10th month on the Islamic calendar. And the fasting has to do with the month of Ramadan, which is 29 or 30 days. When the month comes to an end, the fasting has ended. So the Eid is different, but it usually comes immediately after the end of the Ramadan, but it has nothing to do with the fasting.
But under what instance does Islam permit Muslims to stay away from religious congregations?
When there is some outbreak of a pandemic in any area, any part of the world, the Prophet ﷺ advised the Ummah, if you are not at that area, don't go there. And those within that affected area shouldn't go out. just to experience this quarantine method to limit the infection and then the spread of the infection. And even some instances when there is some extreme cold weather, after the azan, they used to see woman Shah Akada who wishes to just stay at his home and then pray. So if something like this happens, we have to know that Islam is a religion that comes to protect mankind. And there is nothing in the religion or in Islam which will impose us to do something. If that thing will cause harm to our health or to our life, the religion allows us to do that.
To the Muslim populace, what does this ban mean to them? And are they worried that they are not observing this particular religious celebration after this Ramadan? We are really worried, but we have no choice but to accept it in good faith.
Even though we are worried, but we don't have anything to do. It's God's making, and then we have to observe it as such.
They, however, called on colleague Muslims to desist from holding events capable of defying the directives being laid out by authorities.
This is not a punishment from any other person, because it's God's making, and then we have to obey whatever God has given to you. You will take it. So I urge my colleague Muslims to obey, not to disobey. I call
on colleague Muslims to adhere to the President's directives. That will be very helpful to all of us. Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit, Tichiman.
And from a humble beginning, the son of a Pitosela who defied the odds of being tied down by poverty, has now excelled in the legal profession and on the verge of becoming a justice of the Supreme Court of Ghana. Yone Kolende, Executive Secretary of Kolende at Law, hails from Isa, one of Ghana's poorest communities where educational facilities are limited. He was nominated by the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, a couple of months ago, with 3 others as justices of the Supreme Court, subject to parliamentary vetting and approval. Now, ahead of his vetting later today, Rafiq Salam takes a closer look at the life of the renowned lawyer, Yone Kolende.
To those who know him well, he is Emmanuel Yone Kolende, born 56 years ago to a Second World War veteran, RSM Tembela Maluri Kolende and Kanchoma Tembela. He is the 4th of 7 children of Kanchoma who used to brew local pito for sale at one of Ghana's slums, Wazongo. A chick that will grow into a rooster can be spotted every day it hatches. Yone Kolende exhibited those qualities. His senior brother, now a businessman, Joseph Tembela Dakora, is therefore not surprised about his meteoric rise in the legal profession.
I saw him. He came out as a bright individual in the family, and he has been with those futures from the start. At his early days, he was very much involved in Christianity, which took him to the...
Yone himself has never hidden his ambition and love for the legal profession right from his lower primary days at Ndamba School.
If you met anybody who taught me, any of my teachers, and you asked them about me, even in primary 2, I used to say I'll become a lawyer. But my resolve to become a lawyer was fired when I went through the tragedy of my life. And anybody who knows me and has followed my work as a lawyer will appreciate that it's a work I do with total commitment. I don't kid or mess around it.
He, however, had a blip in his educational career at Ward Secondary School when he was in his 5th year, which made him to spend almost 2 years at the war prisons as a remand prisoner. Matthew Bambason was a teacher at the school.
He was among one of the 10 of my brilliant students. Very bright. He was very super, very gentle. I know too well that if he was allowed, I thought he could have been a doctor. So I was surprised when he became a lawyer.
Isa, Yone's home village is 56 kilometers away from the regional capital. The Upper West region is considered as one of Ghana's poorest regions. Narrowing it to Isa, it is worse. Poverty is more endemic, coupled with limited educational opportunities. And this is the last place anyone who expects could produce a Supreme Court judge. It is stories like that of Yoni that inspires people like Ibrahim Seydi Bamanjo. He too, a native of Goropie, which is located 22 kilometers away from Wa, wants to be a practicing lawyer one day.
The only thing we need in life is efforts and the stamina to move ahead in spite of everything. So I think that what he has done has been a great source of inspiration for all of us. Whether you are in town, you are in village, you are wherever you find yourself in the Upper West region.
Like the fowl that does not forget who trim his feathers during the rainy season, Yoni, despite his stature in society, hasn't turned his back on his native Isa, says District Chief Executive for the Fima Bure Isa, Nadi Moro Sanda.
Lawyer asked me, he said, when you go to hospital, where is the first point of call? And I said, an OPD. He asked whether we have an OPD. I said, no, we don't have an OPD, but we have a proposal. There's some design drawings for an OPD. That once we don't have an OPD, he was going to help us with an OPD. Then he engaged consultants, they expanded the drawings, and then the cost went up. As I talk to you, the cost is now running above 300,000 Ghana cedis.
The people of the Upper West region will be glued to their television sets to watch their own Yoni grilled by members of Ghana's parliament. They will wait with bated breath for its approval and subsequent swearing in by the president. When that is done, the father of four will be on record as the first person in the 37-year history of the Upper West region to sit as a justice at the apex court of the land. Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
The overlord of Dagbang, Yana Abubakar Mahama II, has given his full support and the support of the entire Dagbang state to the Joy News Arrive Alive campaign. Well, the campaign started, we all do know, some 4 months ago, and is to help reduce road traffic accidents through road safety education. Yana Abubakar Mahama II says he is ready to work with Joy News in whatever capacity to ensure the success of the campaign.
He will always work with Joy and other media houses in the country. So when the program is rolled out, anytime he's going to embark on those programs, he will invite Joy News to be part of it, so that together we can sensitize our people how they should be on the road, so that they can start on a journey and arrive safely without challenges. And so he wants to thank Joy News so much.
On
the part of enforcement, indeed, Ghana, we are lucky we have existing laws. What we need to do is to enforce the laws. And that was why on the 17th, he decided to include the regional police commander and the MTT. Their boss was also represented. And indeed, His Majesty, as part of his speech, cautioned them to, as it were, stood up and make sure that the law works. He also cited an example that these days, there are a lot of people who even drive without licenses. They just get money, they go and procure a vehicle, and then they drive. They don't have licenses. And indeed, it's always prudent that you have a license so that it can aid you to drive. There are procedures in acquiring a license. Before you get a license, definitely they will take you through a lot of procedures. They will teach you road signs and a lot. They will tell you the importance of side mirrors when you are driving, how you should be using them. But a lot of people doesn't know those things, and that is why there are frequent accidents on our roads. All these were spelled out. for the MTTD and the regional police commander, as it were, to enforce the laws, to make sure that people are abreast with all these things. We also did mention that our motorbikes, a lot of people, when they procure motorbikes, they do take off the side mirrors. Instead of leaving the side mirrors to aid them move on the road safety, they'll just take it off. And when he's moving, before he can access anything at the back, he will have to turn himself. And in turning, before you realize, you have veered off the road. And that individual can lose his life through that process. So he's appealing to the people within the country that all of us, those of us who are on motorbikes, let's make sure we put on side mirrors so that we can make use of them. Let's make sure that we have licenses. Now, remember on that particular day, we have tricycles in the country. He also appealed to them that they should go to Insurance Commission and insure those tricycles so that when on the occasion that you get an accident, you can be insured. So that is the appeal His Majesty is making. So we actually appeal to the law enforcement agencies. The traditional authorities, they will support the police. Because if the police get someone and politicians come in or traditional authorities come in to relieve that particular person, it goes a long way to spoil all the laws that we have in the country. And so they have tasked them to do their job and that they will never interfere when the law takes someone.
And make sure you support the campaign, as always, because even though in times of corona, we still have a number of cars on the road, and our behavior, the patterns with which we tend to exhibit will determine how safe we are when we set out to the next destination. Well, the next destination is to look at stories we have front as well as center and back pages of the various newspapers we have in the studio. Myself, Mamavi Uswabwaje, Evans, Mensa, and Israel I. Stay with us. Well, we're back to do the newspapers. Mamavi is around the studio. Mamavi, good morning to you. We also have on stream.
Is it that you're struggling to, I don't know, introduce me?
Yeah,
like
it's just that you're
nice. You don't have anything to say.
Who made this one?
This is Ajoy Yeboah.
Chale Ajoy Yeboah. That's on Queen Elizabeth that you.
Let's say hello to Evans, Mensa, and Israel. Good morning, gentlemen.
Evans and Israel. Ah, great.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah.
Hello, hi.
Hey.
Charlie, easy. Move there. Charlie, take it easy.
I bet, where are you going? Where are you going?
Evans, how was your sleep?
Hello.
You look like you didn't sleep well.
Oh, you have to remember that I have a late evening show that ends at 10 p.m. and I live in Timbuktu.
Timbuktu,
if you want to.
Are you one of those
if you know what I mean? So
are you one of those people who live in the eastern region?
Like, you know, the next century. So yeah, I mean, it's just what it is.
Are you one of those people who live in the eastern region?
Oh yeah, I definitely live outside Accra.
Yeah, definitely. Israel, you look good. You look like
thank you.
You didn't hear what I said, but I was asking, are you just dressed for the show or you're going somewhere after? Because you're supposed to be working from home. The last time I checked.
I think I'm dressed for the show.
Well,
but you're seeing what you can see. What you can't see, you can't see.
Yeah, definitely. But
okay, make sure your cameras are positioned well, okay? We don't want to see what we can't see. Yeah. Okay, guys, let's do the newspapers. I have two of the papers, the Daily Graphic, the Daily Statesman. Roland, what do you have?
Well, I do have the Daily Guide newspaper.
Okay.
And then, Evans, which paper are you doing?
So I see the Finder, which is an interesting one, the Finder, and also the Daily Dispatch.
Okay. And then Israel?
Okay, so I'm looking at the Finder myself.
And who's doing the Ghanaian Times? One of you has to do the Ghanaian Times.
Okay, we'll sort that out. But let me start with the Daily Graphic newspaper whilst we sort that out. On the front page of the Daily Graphic, Vetting of Supreme Court nominees. Committee refers Lugar to plenary. Approves Amadu. And it was rather interesting, maybe that's my choice of word, yesterday, with the judge appearing before the vetting committee and the minority walking out at some point. We'll come back and discuss details of this particular one. Very interesting how it played out in Parliament yesterday. Faith-based organizations laud government for extending ban on public gatherings. Also a story in the paper on the front page, Mr. Jeffrey A. Newton, online team member, delivering a Mother's Day package to Miss Adelaide Otu at her home at Awoshi and Accra. And a lot of us forgot that it was Mother's Day on Sunday. In the center spread of the paper on COVID-19, the fund has realized some 44.9 million Ghana cedis. Details there. Dagmon Forum donates to hospitals and palaces, and Pioneer Food Cannery resumes operations after shutdown. All right, on the back page of the graphic, NGO refurbishes VIP ward at Accra Psychiatric Hospital. Senior London Beach project taking shape. Also an update on the back page of the daily graphic. All right, who's going next after the graphic?
So let's do the dispatch.
Okay.
The dispatch is EC set record straight, and this it says 2020 elections will use a new voters register. That controversy is still raging. And the finder says TUC pump 18 billion into the economy. That's a very interesting one that the TUC is also demanded that the TUC is making as well.
All right, I'll take the Ghanaian Times then. The Ghanaian Times has it. Public social gathering defiance will deal with lawbreakers. That's the president. And then COVID-19 impact on businesses, jobs, inject 18 billion cedis to revamp the economy. That's according to the TUC. Dr. Anthony Abbas' photos on the front page. And then Ghana's confirmed COVID-19 cases now 4,700, 494 recover, and 22 die. And one more, judiciary must protect rights of citizens, that's Justice Tanko Amadou.
Well, so let's do the Daily Guide. The Daily Guide has on the front page, we will compile new register. EC assures again, quell from or related to that story on the front page of the Daily Dispatch. Also, we do have up there ex-NCA. We're talking about the National Communication Authority Board members' judgment today. We also do know that leading court correspondent Joseph Akable will be there bringing to us the latest updates on that related matter. On the side, though, we have a story with an attached picture of one Kwame Bafo Abronye DC. Mahama dodges Mills' death. Abronye fires. And we have Judge sorry for Nana comments. More controversy from them, talking about where now that final approval will have to be sought. It's before the plenary. Very interesting. Well, we have Auditor General also, Auditor General contempt ruling expected today. So the more of court outcomes we should expect by the end of the news day. Promises to be exciting. All right.
Let's do the Daily Statesman. That's my last paper. The Daily Statesman on the front page. Sonyain residents get nose mask for free. Your conduct is troubling. EC charges at minority leader over false claims. And deal with recalcitrant citizens in COVID-19 fight. President tells police. All right, Roland.
Well, so I'm basically done.
Okay.
Which issues would you want to look at, Evans and Israel?
I wanted to, before the gentlemen come in, I wanted to talk a bit about Justice Lugar, who is a Supreme Court nominee who appeared before
the vetting
yesterday. And it turned a bit dramatic with some statements that he had apparently made in his capacity as a chief. Resulting in the fact that the committee referred his approval to the plenary, something that is rare. I'm not sure where you guys want to pick on with this particular story.
Well, I find it quite interesting, eventually what he had to say. He said, well, I was asked to speak on behalf of my people. And so if I'm speaking on behalf of my people, I can't express my own opinion. Essentially, it's not my personal view, or I wasn't saying that as me. Well, yeah, you can say it's a convenient excuse, but then I think it is what it is, really.
Okay.
I mean, I see the Daily Graphic. I guess it tells a story. So the Daily Graphic reports that the committee, there's unanimity at the committee level when it comes to the approval of Amadou. And you clearly get impression, and in fact, it's confirmed that when it comes to Justice Onyenuga, there is a split, and so the committee didn't come to that consensus, and then has forwarded his approval to the plenary. That tells you that this drama isn't over. Yesterday, we saw the minority walk out, and it's going to go to the main house for debate. That is going to be even more dramatic, I guess. But I guess he did the honorable thing. I mean, he apologized towards the end. And he says, I listened to that bit of the audio where he says, if people took political offense to what I said, then I'm sorry. That is what you do when I guess issues come up that people feel offended by, and questions about the code of conduct were raised to him. And within that context, I guess, I don't recall the last time anybody appeared before the committee, let alone a judge of a superior court, somebody who's been nominated to the Supreme Court, who takes up an issue, and I haven't heard the side that obviously feel aggrieved that his pronouncement concludes by apologizing. That's a significant one for me.
And I have to say that I was very much close to one, now is Justice of the Supreme Court, Gabriel Poimang. And Justice Poimang, at the time, just a normal lawyer, was with the PNC, and I was very close to him. He was nominated by ex-President Mahama, and for 3 hours, his vetting was held up because there was a petition over a parcel of land. The pastor had a difficulty with him. But also there was another issue that some members, as well as some other lawyers within the legal profession, had with an issue he had at the General Legal Council. So, but it was because he was a political figure. He was a member of the PNC. He held a position as a national executive of the party. And so when his nomination was made public, of course, you know the hue and cry at the time. And it also brings to question if somebody is a politically exposed person or makes a speech in this regard. We're talking about Justice Onyenuga. What do we do? And if subsequently they've been nominated to a higher position on the bench, should we take it that on the other side of life, they're just doing the actions and their work, and then in another space, they could be recused of any comments they make in that space?
I was also thinking about the comments in relation to if a chief, take every other thing surrounding him and just take him as a chief, if the comments that he made would have also gotten some criticism in itself. But we'll see how that plays out as it goes to the main plenary on this particular subject. Any other story that anybody wants to pick on?
Well, the Daily Guide story, I see on many of the front pages, a statement that was issued by the Electoral Commission yesterday, and they're taking on the minority leader, but in that they...
Oh, we seem to have an issue with sound there. Israel, you can hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Okay. I can hear you good.
Yeah.
So Evans was going on the Electoral Commission. Sorry, Roland.
Okay, Israel. Okay, Evans, you're back.
Yes, I'm back. You can hear me all right?
Very well. Very well.
Okay, great. So I was just making that point about the EC confirming again that you're going to do the voters register. They were taking on comments that had been made by Harun Edrisu, that challenged the EC's, some claim that the EC had made. One of the things I saw in the statement was the fact that the EC had been giving PPEs, etc., whilst other, I guess, frontline health workers didn't have enough. And they disputed that claim that they had not been given any PPEs whatsoever, and that they were going to go ahead. It appears to me that this voters register thing would not, that's the controversy until it is actually done and the EC starts the process. I guess even that won't stop it, because we all know when voters register is being compiled at such a sensitive time. I mean, I really don't envy the Electoral Commission, really, because says that ending of May, we will have to review the restricted. Yesterday, you speak to the experts on PMS, they tell us that even May, and they see those scenarios where May and the factors and the signs that we need will be late the president to lift any of the restrictions. If that is true, then you're looking at June also, possibly coming by. And then you have less than 5 months to the elections. Can the EC do this within that time frame? It's a big, big unknown.
Let me be a bit controversial here regarding the EC and the voter registration. We have seen people form queues. And during the lockdown, when food had to be given out to the vulnerable, they had to form queues, and yet they had to respect the social distancing protocols. And that was allowed to happen. Could we do that? Or could the EC get to have that done by observing the social distancing protocols, so that if they necessarily want to have new voters register or register people, we could do that. Same for the NIA. I mean, and you look all around the world, people going into shops, they're having to respect the social distancing protocols. So, yeah, I'm asking myself, could that happen, or could that be allowed to happen? And but I would also move on to the Finder, which has on its front page, TUC wants government to pump 18 billion cedis into the Ghanaian economy. Another thing it's asking for, it supports borrowing from the Heritage Fund, and then it also wants law on BOG financing of budget deficit to be relaxed. This, I said, really, we don't have much of a choice but to relax this law on BOG financing of budget deficit, because really, we can't help it. Everywhere around the world, this coronavirus thing is impacting virtually everything, and we didn't expect this to happen. I don't think that when they were drafting the law on BOG financing of deficits, they had COVID-19 in mind. And so, yes, if that has to happen, why not? And right there on the front page of the Finder, you have the story of businesses of coffee makers, hair drivers in sharp decline. And really, it's not just about coffee makers and hair drivers. Everybody has been impacted so badly by this COVID-19 pandemic, and something has to be done. I'm not sure, though, that government has Ghana has 18 billion cedis to pump into the economy, as the TUC is demanding.
Yeah, and then, just to also touch on something that you talked about, still in the Finder, the TUC has given out some preliminary assessment of job losses. They actually named some organizations and the number of staff that they've had to lay off because they're struggling to pay salaries. So they named Ibis Styles Hotel, for instance, 105 staff, and according to the TUC reports, with a staff strength of 105, the hotel has closed down, leaving skeleton staff whose salaries have been cut. The closure of the airport and the borders had affected businesses. 203 staff, they also mentioned, with Alisa Hotel also going through a similar situation. The African Region Hotel with 162 workers. It goes on and on and on in the Finder newspaper. So, yeah. As
for the hotels, it's obvious that a lot of them will be impacted. Virtually every one of them, each one of them will be impacted. So it turns out that before or at the very start of this, when there was mandatory quarantine, a number of the hotels actually got to host or to keep some of the travelers who had arrived in mandatory quarantine, and probably that was just about the only relief they had. After that, nobody's visiting a hotel now.
True.
I mean, who wants to visit a hotel?
Well, I guess ultimately we all have to put all these related issues into perspective. And I do agree with you, Israel, that do we have money just we can plug out of any hole, or whether it's the stabilization fund or the heritage fund or wherever we want to find it, and say that we want to straight away invest this into the economy. Already we do know that government has invested 600 million. Of course, we need to know the criteria, how they are going to share this and to which levels of businesses. Because all around the world, look, everybody is reeling under this. 30 million people losing their jobs in the States and more people losing their jobs in Europe will ultimately come to a decision that has to be made. It has to be a win-win situation. We, as workers, would have to sacrifice. At the end of the day, the employers also need to sacrifice as well. I don't know where we can meet each other in the middle, but something has got to give.
Certainly. Certainly, right. Something has got to give, because we can't keep going this way. We can't do things as we've always known. These are not normal times.
Yeah.
All right, Roland, is there a story you want to highlight on, or we go to myjoyonline.com?
No, we can go to myjoyonline.com.
All right,
definitely.
Take us through it then.
Okay, so we have myjoyonline.com. Claim of COVID-19 infection peak in Ghana is a myth. KCCR virologist. And, well, you scroll up and there are no political cases. Lugar tells appointment committee on the side. There's a story about moving away from enhanced contact tracing, focusing on mass testing. Global health experts is advising. And then we have other related stories. We haven't received any PPs, and all related to the controversy, as again started by the minority and a subsequent reaction by the Electoral Commission. And then the 100-bed infectious disease facility is expected to meet ISO accreditation. Noguchi virologist. We're talking about what is taking place with the private sector COVID funding team building that the Ghana East Health facility. But what, Evans, I think this one makes interesting reading. What the global expert is advising about the need for mass testing. I'm not sure that there's any particular country in the world that has been able to do testing en masse in its population. Of course, you do that, but it also means that you have to spend a lot, and a lot of resources will have to take place. Just a minute on that.
I mean, I think Germany seemed to be, it has become the gold standard for a lot of testing. We've also seen what the South Korea and Japan were doing. I mean, it just boils down to how much resources you have, because really in Ghana we learned not too long ago that it costs the government $100 to do one test. $100 to do one test. In the UK, private citizens are paying £350 for a test. So that is quite a lot of money, and I don't think a country like Ghana can afford it.
All right, in my case, I'm looking at it. Yes, it may cost probably $100 to do a test, but looking at the way we go about it, which is the pooling of the test or the samples, I'm wondering if it's going to cost the same. So if we found pooling as a method or as a way of doing these tests a lot faster, I can imagine, or I'm expecting that it will cost us a lot cheaper, and for which reason our supports the mass testing. We can do a whole lot more regarding when it comes to testing. And indeed, we've done incredibly. We've done the last check. We had done like 160,000 tests. I think we can keep going.
Okay, gentlemen, we have to run, but there's an update because we're talking COVID-19, the Ghana situation. There's a press briefing today. Real quick, what are you expecting? What are the questions on your mind that you're hoping this press conference will address?
I'm hoping that the issue of the inconsistencies with the backlog, no backlog, is going to come up. And Mama V, you mentioned one story in the graphic. You didn't go into details, but Pioneer Food Cannery resuming operations. And people have been asking the question, we need to know a lot more about if Pioneer Food Cannery is being allowed to reopen or resume operations. Is the place set up properly enough so that we don't have COVID-19 infections spreading any further?
So you're asking this because of the revelation that a fish factory, got over 500 people infected?
I think you should read the story a bit more. You probably should read that story. There probably is more to it than just the resuming operations.
Okay, all right. Evans?
Well, an exciting time for the latest update in sport, but we also do have an update. You all remember that pregnant woman who decided to go public as she subsequently got infected with coronavirus and started having all these senses of stigmatization in her community. Well, the pregnant woman is Matilda Gamu, who was stigmatized after testing positive. Now, Kojo Yankson went up north, had an interaction with her and her family, and we'll bring you this piece.
So, Matilda and Bernard, I'm so excited to meet you both. I know you have been through a lot, but I'm very happy to see that you are both well. You have tested negative, and you are back home with your family. Tell me, what was the experience like from the day you were told that you have COVID-19?
Thank you very much. First of all, we give glory to God. Actually, when I fell sick in this house, my father's house, and then I asked my husband to come for me. So he sent me to the hospital, and then the doctor asked, what is the problem? And my husband told him, this is my problem, I can't swallow anything. And then the doctor said that if it is so, I'm suffering from COVID-19.
The doctor said it straight.
Yes, please. But I never bothered, because I haven't seen any results to show that I wasn't panicking, nothing. So my husband was angry that why is it that he quickly mentioned that. So I have to hold him back. But later, when the results came, it shows positive. So they came home here and sent me back. But when the results came, we don't know how it happened, and then the whole news spread before we received our results, my results rather. It even went on Facebook. And then
someone posted on Facebook that
yes,
you have tested positive.
My husband and I.
Even before the results came?
Yes, please.
Who posted? Do you know who? I mean, don't mention the name, but do you know who did it?
No. We don't even know whether it's a male or female. We don't know whether it's a male or female. But we give glory to God. So they came to this house and then sent me back. But the first week, the first month, that was March 28, that was admitted. And I came home 2nd April. And they came for me 4th April, that's Saturday. And they quarantined me from 4th April to, is it 30th May? Yes, 30th or 1st May that they discharged me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So almost 1 whole month?
Yes, 1 month, 3 days.
Okay.
That was there. But as a pregnant woman, it wasn't easy for me. If not because of few people, my family, my husband, and then church members, they know that as a pregnant woman, if they don't call me all the time, I might think over and then harm my baby. So every day they keep on calling, giving me quotations to read. Some will even wake me up early dawn for us to pray. So I was there, but the stigma there wasn't easy. I don't see them, but some people can even call. Immediately you pick the call, what they will tell you, you regret for holding a phone on for yourself.
People were calling you while you were in quarantine, being treated.
Yes.
People were calling you and saying what?
That they said, I'm on oxygen. Is it true? They said this. Okay. So.
Where were you being kept?
At the regional hospital. Even the day I was going to the hospital, my younger brother and then the committee, one of them, they were sending me to the hospital. He is even a witness. One guy just said, brother, I heard that your sister is suffering from COVID-19. No. Just like that. But I never bothered. And I went on my way.
And today you're back home and you're tested negative, right?
Yeah.
They did 2 tests, did they?
It's more than 2 tests.
Okay.
They took my sample, 5 of them, because of the baby and myself. Yes, that was what they told me.
Okay.
They took my blood, my stool, and then my saliva, and then my phlegm. Yeah.
Bernard, tell me about this disease. How did you feel? I heard about the symptoms from Matilda, that she couldn't swallow.
Yes.
How about you? How were you feeling?
I was feeling normal. Nothing was wrong with me. They called me in the afternoon and said that they want to meet me. So I directed them that they should come and meet me at Tap Hotel. So that's the place that I met them. I went and showed them my house, and they said they'll come back in the evening. So that's the evening that they just came back and said that my wife is positive. So I have to quarantine myself in the house, and they'll come and take my samples. I said, okay. So I was in the house almost a week, and they took my sample with my small boy and my mother. So we were just in the house, and the results came, and they said I'm positive. So they have to send me to the hospital. But my mother and the boy are negative, and my wife's family, they are all negative. It's only me and my wife is positive. So when they were 2 weeks' time, they took our second sample. I don't even know what was going on. They don't even inform us whether it's negative or positive. So, and they took the third one again. They said, I'm discharged. Nothing is wrong with me, so I can just go home.
So during the whole time that you were in quarantine, you didn't have any symptoms? No headache?
Nothing was wrong with me. Nothing.
Interesting.
Nothing was wrong with me. But someone just called me from Kumasi, my friends, that they saw me and my wife picture on Facebook that we have escaped. So when anybody who just find out, they should arrest us and send us to police station and what and what. So because of that, I don't even pick a course again. I was even trying to. I even said that I won't even go to the hospital, but because of our area assemblyman and my pastor forced me that I should do it. I should try and just go because he have faith that nothing is wrong with me. And I said, okay. And my wife also called me. That should be thinking because she believed that nothing is wrong with her. And I said, that is the case. I have to also go. And they sent me there.
So let's now come to the story of the stigma. While you were in the hospital, you were getting these phone calls from people asking all kinds of questions. But at home, other things were happening.
Okay.
Tell me about your store.
Okay. Actually, when they heard the news that I'm positive, they are my friends, my sisters, and my everything, because you cannot be in one place and there will not be love. So one of them called me and said, where am I? And I said, I'm at home. Then, okay, someone came and said, I'm suffering from COVID-19. Is it true? And I asked, so if it is true, what are you going to do about it? That meaning that if it is true, then they are all affected. Because I come to the store, we sit, we chat, and I even braid my hair there. So they are also affected. That even lost my spirit, my soul just failed me there. Meaning I wanted them to rather encourage me, give me that strength or zeal to stand. But they never did that. They rather asked me questions that would rather lose. But I understood myself that it's not everyone that will tell you good things. Others will come with bad news. Others will come in with good news. But immediately after their calls, other calls came and said I should have faith as a Christian. That one day, oh, my strength increased and my faith increased. And then I left to the place, to the hospital rather.
Did the Ghana Health Service give you any education or information about what will happen when you come home? Did they tell you to expect that people will treat you differently? Did they give you any information about what you are going through now?
No. When they discharged me, they asked me to go. I should come review on 1 week time. So when I just went home, I was not even feeling good because all my friends are they don't want me to even get close to them. So I don't even have anywhere to even go apart from my house to my wife's house.
Your friends have rejected you?
Yes.
What did they say to you?
They just be saying that they say I have COVID-19 and they don't want to even get close to me again. So because of that, when they even call me, I don't even pick their calls again. And I decided to move myself out of them. I don't want to even get close to them so that someone will say something that it will create fight. So this is the place that I always be coming, from my house to here. I can't even go and do anything. To even go and buy something outside, no one will collect my money. So I have to send a small boy to go and buy maybe bread or something to take.
When you go out to buy things, nobody collects your money.
Don't even collect. Because they know, they believe that I have the virus. They believe it. Even they say that I've recovered, still people don't even believe it. People don't even believe it. So now I'm just nothing. My old lady, they have just spoiled her business. She's selling charcoal. She can't even do anything every day.
So right now, what do you want? If somebody could do something right now for you to make this situation better,
I will be happy.
What should they do?
Any help that they can help us. Because as I'm standing now, I don't even do anything. Now my mother has to cook and feed me, or I should come to my wife's house and eat there. Because of that, a friend of mine just ran. Because that's my friend. We are working together, eating, doing everything. So anyone that is just close to that person, they have to run and leave him.
What job will you do?
I always go to Kumasi to buy bags and sandals, those foods, and come. So that my wife will be in the market and I'll be in the store. So because of that, the market people don't want to see us. And the container, if you even go and open, no one will even come and buy even one piece of bag.
They sent me over there for school. Yes.
So it happened over there. Can you show me? Can you go and show me the place? Okay. Auntie.
Yes.
You said you should go where?
That should go behind our school place and buy something, mash kinky and come.
Mash kinky, yes. From your school?
Yes.
So you have the people who did this, are they your friends?
Yes.
You know them? But before your mother and your father were sick, they were nice to you? They were friends with you, eh?
No,
they were not friends with you. Okay. So, when you finished and you went to buy the mash kinky, did the woman sell it to you?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So where is it, the place?
Just see.
So who is, where? Where the cement block? Or where?
That.
You are standing here, just like that. And point, where were the people, the children who were throwing the stones? Where were they standing?
They were standing there.
Over there. So you were trying to go here. You were trying to go here. And they were standing here. And were throwing stones at you.
Yes.
What were they saying?
They said that I am corona. I have corona. My mother is corona. My mother's having coronavirus. So I'm corona child. They was throwing me stones and I was running, going. People were standing here, they did not say anything. One woman was going and she saw me and said that I should stop and go where I want to go.
So people were standing and they saw you, but they did not do anything?
Yes.
Where were they standing? Over there and over here. And they saw people throwing stones at you and they didn't do anything. How did you feel?
I was feeling sad.
You're feeling sad?
Yes.
Were you afraid?
No. No.
You were not afraid?
Yes.
You're very brave.
Yes.
So after that, when they send you anywhere, are you worried that maybe people will throw stones at you again?
No.
You are not worried. Why not?
Because I am the child of God. I go to church. God be with me. Everywhere I go, God is with me. That's why. I was no worry.
Please tell us, how did you get to know the story of Matilda and Bernard?
So somewhere in March, I happened to travel out. And then when I got back, I started engagement with the municipal health director just to get a sense of how much I could support, with the fight. So in the process of that, the reporting at that time was basically identifying which regions has reported a case and which community. So one day he called me and said, we have a case on our hands, and it turned out to be this family. And he said that the circumstances of the first case were said that it had generated some controversy because the handling of it went out of hand, and because of that, the level of secrecy that was required had basically been broken because it was out there in the media. Then I had a call also from Reverend Isudanaba, who wanted to find out from me whether I had heard this case because he had also read it, and he was very worried that we needed to find a way to contain it from spreading. So that was how I got to know that we had a case like that. And then subsequently, when the man's issue also came up, because like he himself explained, there was some level of misconception around this disease, and he didn't feel that he had it because everybody thought that once you had it, you needed to show some symptoms. And those were the early days when not much was known about this disease. The fact that you can be asymptomatic and all of that was pretty new to us. So there was some story in the community. The assemblyman for the area had contacted me to say that he wanted me to check with the municipal health director over this case, whether or not the appropriate protocols were being followed, because at that time they didn't know that you could be isolated in your own house. So still finding him in the community created some bit of uneasiness. So I had to get in touch with him, and he then explained to me that it is not in all cases that, you know, the person is isolated in a hospital, and that even in some instances where the home environment is conducive, the person can actually be treated when he's positive in the house. So I had to convey that message back, you know. And the assemblyman did a great job by trying to manage the expectations of the people and to get them to understand some of the protocols that, for obvious reasons, didn't need to be communicated to the community. So that is how it happened. And you can see that the earlier misunderstanding of the disease impacted how their relationship with the medical team went. And so the community as a whole began to feel a bit afraid, because this was a disease they were hearing way back in the US and in the UK, and they were hearing stories of how people were dying out of it and how people were on ventilators and things like that. And to think that they were living, it is now in their community, was a bit difficult. And so we needed to find a way to educate the people on this. But so far, I think we are beginning to understand it a lot more. The stigma aspect of it, which I raised when I actually have a team that I've put together, which is going around all the communities on a daily basis, you know, educating them and providing them with some of the equipment and the things that they need to keep safe, you know. So in launching that particular group, that campaign group, which I made the Municipal Health Directorate to put together, I insisted at that program that my biggest fear was that stigma could become a major problem to deal with. And so I had hinted the media that I had invited to assist with the communication and the public education, that they needed to look out for ways by which they could assist us to prepare the minds of the people towards the possibility of stigma. And so when this came up, I was like, well, we anticipated this. We probably haven't done enough since then to put the issue of stigma ahead in our frontal in our public education. It's been more about prevention and prevention and prevention. But I think that now we need to move forward to incorporate more of the stigma and other related issues. And that is why I see them as very good ambassadors who, just like our brothers and sisters who were the unfortunate victims of HIV in the earlier days and suffered victimization, it took some of them to come out and to say that I don't care what it is, I need to educate people. And when people began to hear from the people who themselves were affected, it helped to demystify the disease. Because when people are stigmatized and they have it, chances are that they will think that they must go down with everybody. And if they don't have the right emotional stability, they may end up infecting all of us intentionally, yes, just as a revenge on the community. And we don't want that to happen.
Obviously, one small but important difference between the ambassadors for HIV and Bernard and Matilda is that they are actually free.
Yeah, exactly.
But still, they can play that.
Yeah, they can play that role. Yeah,
right.
But also that, like you said, they feel a lot safer than us, because I haven't been tested. Until I begin to show symptoms, the system may not even target me for testing. And if I'm asymptomatic, I may actually get out of it without knowing. But they know their status. And I want to encourage people to understand that we need to integrate them back into society for them to live their normal lives. We cannot continue to keep capable hands incapable and then treat them as social welfare people. I don't think that is sustainable.
Behind me is Matilda's shop. This is where for a number of years she has sold all kinds of women's accessories, from handbags and so forth to all kinds of other knickknacks for ladies. Right here on this street, which leads to the regional hospital here in Bolgatanga. It's a rather busy little street on a normal day. But as you can see, Matilda's shop is closed. The question is, can Matilda return to work comfortably, safely? How do her neighbors feel about her returning to work? COVID-19 is a reality for all of us around the country. What is the reality for them in this community? And how do they feel about Matilda coming back to be amongst them? Let's find out. Let's speak to them all. Hello, good afternoon. So tell us, how did you hear that Matilda is not well?
For me, it is just recently that maybe people were talking. But me myself, I don't even see her with my eyes since about 3 months ago. So before I heard this. So since then, up to date, I've not even seen her with my eyes. This is what I've heard.
But you have heard that she's not well?
Yes, I have heard it.
She has recovered from COVID-19.
Okay.
How do you feel about that?
Okay, for that one, I have not heard it. So since I've not even seen her, no, I can't tell whether this is what is happening to, but I can't tell. Yeah.
Okay, but now you know.
Yes, now I know.
So how do you feel about it?
Oh, it's normal. After sickness, it can cut anybody at all. And that one, it doesn't, and we even heard it, they educated more about it, how the sickness or the disease goes on. Whether we shouldn't stigmatize anybody, whoever recover from coronavirus. So far as our sister Mati is recovered, we don't have problem with her at all. Anytime she comes out to work, we also work together as a brother and sister. This is what I have in my mind.
Tell me, how do you know her?
We started working here 2016 rather. So she saw her things and I'm also here. We are just like sisters. So when I heard it, I called her, but she didn't pick. So when I also heard that she has recovered, I thank God for that. I'm happy. So you should come. I have no problem with that.
Have you spoken to her since she became sick?
I didn't even see her.
Now you have a hairdresser's salon.
Yes.
So was Matilda one of your customers?
Yes, at times she come and do her hair.
So when you heard that she had COVID-19, were you worried that maybe she could have infected?
I was praying for her to recover. But I thank God that she has recovered now.
I mean, were you worried that maybe she could have infected you or any of the others in the area?
No, she has stopped coming here the whole of this year. So I didn't see her. We used to see each other, but not here. But when I heard that, I was worried because she's my sister. So if she recover now, I'm okay. I'm happy for her. But if she come, I have no problem with that.
How about the rest of you? How do you feel about your sister coming back?
We thank Allah for her recovering. That's what I can say for now.
So, do you know much about the disease, how it works?
Yes, we normally watch television and we hear what they normally talk about the diseases. So much.
Are you worried that Matilda might infect people?
No, as for that one, because they say we should prevent, we should distance ourselves from and regularly wash our hands. So we go by those rules, so we know, inshallah.
But have you been told that she has actually recovered?
No, it's just today I heard. I learned that she has recovered.
Do you know what it means if they say somebody has recovered from it?
We've been hearing on news saying that people has recovering, but I haven't seen it with my eyes, so I can't.
Okay. Well, when somebody recovers, it means the person does not have COVID-19 anymore.
Okay.
So they have tested the person 2 times, and the person does not have COVID-19 anymore. So I, for example, I've never been tested. So as I'm standing here, I don't know if I have COVID-19. I don't know. But Matilda, she knows. She knows that she doesn't have it. So Matilda is safer than me. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah. Because she has been cured. She's recovered. So for those of the people in the community who might be worried, do you have a message? What message do you have for the people who might be worried about Matilda coming back?
As for her coming back, there is nothing to worry about because we thank God that she went to that place and recovered. So we just wish her well. That's what.
How about you? How do you feel about her returning?
Tell us the truth. You know, if something is worrying you, I want to know.
Thank God that I have covered and come back. No, it's okay.
Are you worried?
I'm not worried.
You are sure?
Yes.
Because, you know, we came here to hear from you, you know, to hear about your concerns. You are not worried. So where is your shop? Where do you sell?
My shop is that.
But you know Matilda?
Yeah, I know Matilda.
What do you know about her?
She's a friend and a sister. Just a shop. No much a friend things. Always come and buy from here.
What's her character like as a person? What's she like?
Like jokes and friendly.
You were saying the same thing? What's she like?
She just friendly. Like I don't know her. I don't know her much. I just came in recently, but the day she just met me, the way she just received me as if I'm her own sister. That's what I'm talking about.
How about you? You know her?
No, I know her. She doesn't have problem with anybody here. Since we met here, I don't think we have problem with her.
So if you can give a message to Matilda and her family, what will your message be?
To me, they have to thank God for Matilda because it's not easy to be at that position. They have to sympathize with her and get closer to her so that they'll encourage her. That's my advice to the family.
So are you looking forward to her coming back?
Yes.
Let's zoom in on the story that brought us here.
Okay.
The case of Matilda Gamu and her husband Bernard.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about that case and how it was managed through the health?
Yes, it's the first case that actually we confirm in Upper East region here. And that case was managed at the regional hospital treatment center. And as part of the contact investigation, the husband also tested positive, which has also been managed successfully. So, I mean, she was a pregnant woman. Out of her, a number of people also got infected. Some are still under management, but some have recovered. So it's been quite successful. We are still waiting. You know, she was pregnant. She's not delivered yet. So we hope to do more when she delivers to find out if the child gets infection or something.
What are the chances of that happening, the child being infected?
We know that some of the viruses can cross the placenta barrier, but we also know that sometimes that barrier can be quite tight and the virus may not be able to pass through. So we are actually, I mean, it's going to be a learning curve for all of us to know what really happened.
Examples of this anywhere else in the world?
I have not really. I know that pregnant women have been delivered, but I've not really had any literature on it which talk about in utero infection of that nature. So we are going to learn from her as far as the transmission in utero is concerned, and we're going to make sure that the delivery is conducted in such a way that there is IPC, infection prevention, and all the measures appropriately taken.
So you've put together a unique delivery plan for her?
Exactly.
Okay. And you'll be monitoring her?
Yes, we'll be monitoring her.
Okay. Now they tell us that when they were treated and they recovered, or they were told that they have recovered and they can go home, they were given a referral date and sent home. And that was that. They went home to face massive stigma, difficulty reintegrating into society. As we speak,
She has been unable to resume her work in the marketplace where she has a stall. Her child was stoned by other members of the community. Can you tell me how this could happen? Why was there no counseling for the community as a whole to let them understand what has happened and that these people are now safe and able to join them? Why was there no follow-up to the discharge of these two recovered people?
We have a clinical psychologist that counsels them, all the patients. Even while they are on admission, they are all counseled. And during the discharge, they are also counseled. It is a fact that we have not met the community as a whole, because that also has some implication. There are some of the patients that we have discharged that have said that I don't want you in my community, because when you come there, I'll be stigmatized. The people in my community will get to know that I was one of the patients. I'll be stigmatized. So it's a very dicey issue, which we need to look at how really to proceed. But in her case, because the community has done what we do not expect them to do, because it's quite unfortunate to stone the child just because the mother has had infection. And this is an infection that all of us are vulnerable. I mean, today it may be her, but tomorrow it will be any of those community members. And who even says that some of them may not have the virus? It is just because they have not been tested. So it's very, very unfortunate, I mean, to have people who have recovered fully from the virus being shunned.
So I guess what I was asking was that in this case, where it was known, it wasn't a secret. They had already mentioned several times to the healthcare workers that it has been put on social media that they have COVID-19. It's known. The stigma started even while they were under treatment. The child was stoned while the mother was on admission. So there was ample warning. Why did the healthcare system not step in and provide that community support so that they could return safely? Why simply send them home?
Yes, it was not really known, because I can tell you that social media put a lot of pictures of so many people. I personally had calls where they said they have found the husband here and there, but the husband was not there. There was a lot of guesswork that went on in the community. A lot of people put pictures of people they did not know, I mean, of whom they suspected that they were the ones. But it's difficult to predict that the community will do such a thing.
Even in this instance, when it happened while the parents were on admission?
In fact, this is the first time I'm hearing that the son got stoned.
Oh, you didn't know at all?
No, I've not heard it. This is the first time I'm hearing that the son got stoned.
That's interesting. Yes. Does that mean you have not been following up with the family?
No, we've been following up. But, I mean, it's not every incident that may be brought to your attention.
So you've been following up, but the family did not inform you of this?
Yes.
So when was the last time you visited the family?
No, we have a team that visits the family. Yes.
When was the last time they went?
No, when she was discharged. After she was discharged. They followed up.
Since she's been discharged, a team has been to her house to visit her? That's what you're saying?
Yes.
When?
I can't tell the date, but I know that the team follow up. Now we have, like I said, the clinical psychologist is both in the facility and a follow up, because that's her task. So because of that, we've been relief her of some of the activities in the hospital.
Well, and you do know that stigmatization has always been something that we frowned against or upon. And subsequently, this story also brings to bear the related issue and how we need to clamp down on this. That was a good one. Great interaction by Kojo Yankson. And I have to tell you that all of you who have been watching it would have a lot to say about this. And we'll open the phone lines very soon. Make sure that you get interactive. But it's not only here. We have Facebook, and we've had a number of comments also when this was first posted on Twitter and then also on Facebook. But Joy News TV is our official channel on YouTube, Joy News TV. Make sure that you go subscribe, click on the notification button, which is like a bell, the deep one, or the gray one, so to speak, and then you will get the notifications on your tablets, on your phones, smartphones, and definitely also on your laptops when you are on stream online. But look, how has this also started a conversation in your mind or on your discussion platforms? Make sure you call us. We have the numbers, and as you get interactive, you can just call through the number 030-2211-691 or 2. Again, 030-2211-691 or 2. Let us know what you think about how this pregnant woman would have to go through this period, traumatized and now stigmatized, but is fighting back in her society or her community. And it's also because her member of parliament, the constituency where her home is located, Isaac Adongo, also brought this to the fore. And this interaction by Kojo Yankson brings the related issues to the front burner for us to make sure that when somebody is not well, rather they need our support. And we have Abdul Ganil from Mankregu on the line. Good morning to you, Abdul.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. How are you? And how has this story moved you, Abdul?
Wow, I'm so sad, Roland. I'm so sad. First of all, good morning to you and good morning to your viewers and good morning to my people in Savannah region, especially Mohammed Isa. Roland,
sir,
I think what I followed Joy this morning and I saw in Upper East is very sad, and I feel what the man and the woman did, because some people will never come to do that, because if they have the zeal to come out boldly without covering their face, without hiding themselves, but they are public, telling what the experience they have. So not less as Ghanaians, we shouldn't be doing these people like, what is the name? They are not human beings. Like what is the name? The former, the information minister, several times he said it. If they tested her or him as, what is the name? Negative, positive, and later they tested them negative, we should let them come together as friends and sisters. But we shouldn't be running away and leave them. If they are coming, look at what the guy said, Roland, that if he even want to buy something, they won't take his money. Oh, Ghanaians. So if I sick, Roland, I'm not supposed to do anything again, even eating. Can I even get something to eat? Roland, it's unfortunate. People shouldn't be doing this. If you did this, if you do this, Roland, you don't know. God can use what you just neglected your colleague, human being. God can use that to punish you. To just know that He can do what He wants. It is Allah's will. He likes to just let them know that He has the power, so He can test any of us in this world. So we shouldn't be hiding ourselves and leave them, or we shouldn't be doing them like what the guy explained. If they want to buy something, they can't. If they look at the young girl there, their daughter.
Yes.
She can't even go anywhere. Look at the stones that they are throwing her. It's not good. We shouldn't be doing this. So are you telling us that almost 400 and something people that's recovering? If you are going to be doing this to them, definitely they will die and leave us. They will die. Because if they tested you positive, at the end of the day, God willing, and you are recovering, people will not even come closer to you. So if you die, it's better. Because we need people to be recovering. This virus, we don't need people to be dying like that.
Well,
like
definitely, Abdul. Well, we have to go to Wale, and it's where Mohammed is calling from. Good morning to you, Mohammed.
Good morning.
Yes, and what came to your mind when you watched the story? A very emotive story.
Yeah, but at first when the issue broke up at Upper East, they were saying that the woman was tested positive and later on they fled. So now your man failed to do for me, or what I am disappointed about, he failed to act where the woman get the disease. Because I don't know whether the woman have a travel history, and all of us know that the disease does not degenerate inside. You have to infect or pick it from somewhere.
Well, Mohammed,
so
what's your point?
Yeah, my point is the story seems not being clear, or some fishy in it. Because where does the woman get the at first when it broke out, they said the woman and the husband. That was we heard. They said they ran away.
Yes, I get your point, but I'm saying that where she got the disease, or where she did not get the disease from, how does that become material to others?
It becomes a problem because the disease does not penetrate from inside from a person. You get it?
But if she got it from somewhere, which definitely she did, why should that lead to her being stigmatized? Mohammed?
It is unfortunate. It's unfortunate. The people or the community members that did not try at all, because all of us are human. If it is me today, it could be somebody tomorrow. And so therefore the stigma, it is unfortunate that even stoning the child and other things. Oh no, that one is unfortunate. It's unfortunate. They shouldn't have do that.
Well, please, you can still call 030-2211-69102. We do have Raindorf Owari from Oyarifa on the line. Raindorf, good morning.
Good morning, Roland.
Yes, please. And I'm sure definitely you were moved by the story.
Yes, please.
Your comments subsequently.
Okay, Roland, I think it's high time we use people as corporates. And it's been a very long time, and I think the government is delaying in making laws that will make this thing illegal. Because if today is COVID-19, and before COVID-19, there were other conditions where people were being stigmatized against. People were being stigmatized against HIV, tuberculosis, and even divorce. There are several conditions that people have been stigmatized against, and we've been sitting idle today. So what are we doing as a country in curtailing this problem? Because if we don't act now, very soon somebody will be killed. And if we don't take care, and if we don't act swiftly, people will commit to suicide. And is that what we want? And if we don't take care now as well, there will be lots of people who will not be willing to show up even if they are positive. And that will make the thing really worse for all of us. So I think the government should act as early as possible to enact laws, and if the laws are being made, it should be fully implemented, whereby people who are not doing the right thing, who are stigmatizing against victims, should face the law. And if we can't afford prison terms, there should be community service where they themselves will be used as volunteers going around and educating people against this stigmatization. So I think this is what the government has to do. And the community, we should know that if it's affecting Mr. A, tomorrow it might be me. And one thing that we have to know is that those who have been tested positive and now they are cured, they are the best people to even associate with. Because we know their status, but me that I'm talking to you, I don't know my status now.
Yeah.
You, Roland, you don't know yours. But people love to come closer to us. We don't know our status. But that is very dangerous.
Yeah.
So the earlier we act, the better. Thank you so much, Roland.
Well, thank you, Raindorf. Very insightful and comprehensive there. Raindorf calling us from Oyarifa right here. Now let's go to Sadiq, and he will be our last caller. He's calling from Lambusie. Good morning to you, Sadiq.
Morning, boss.
Yeah. What came to mind when you watch how traumatized she was? Can you please reduce the volume on your set? Morning, Sadiq. Please reduce the volume on your set, please.
In fact, sad. I'm very sad.
And go ahead. Well, we lost Sadiq there, but we all do know that stigmatization has come about because of people's misconceptions. And one thing that people have always had misconception about is adopting technology. And it is within this period that it's now been adopted a lot more in the education sector. Because schools have been closed, schools have now been compelled to use alternative platforms, virtual platforms by which they have to conduct teaching and learning. And that was started by many basic schools, and subsequently other sectors of the education ladder also started. And schools, were told, went on vacation. Now they have reopened at the basic level. And some parents and school authorities or owners have been compelled to pay fees, or sometimes to pay some sort of fees so that teaching and learning could be undertaken on these virtual platforms. But a lot of parents, as well as even the school owners or the management, have a lot of issues to say in terms of trying to convince either side to accept why cost has become very relevant and how these learning or virtual platforms are being undertaken. We want to comprehensively look at this. If your child is going through learning using the internet and other internet-related platforms, there's a time for you to join in this conversation as well. It's up next. And we're going to have that conversation, myself and Mamavi, as well as parents and even administrators or educationists. And it's about schools reopening at the basic level. And parents now would have the responsibility, because schools have resumed, to either pay fees or support these schools to make sure they run the schools appropriately. And they are doing this on virtual platforms, Mamavi.
Yes, they are, with all the issues that come with it. But I want to start with, for me, my children were supposed to have reopened if they were going to normal school. The third term should have started ending of April. I think the last week in April. How about you, Roland?
4th of May. I think it started, only in a way.
Okay, so just a few days into the third term. But they haven't, have they?
No, not fully, because the school is still grappling with the virtual platform that was used before the vacation of the last term, and trying to customize it to meet their own needs and terms.
Okay, let's rope in some parents who have joined us via Zoom, and Roland mentioned that we'll have school administrators also join us. So hello, good morning to all of you. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Okay. Good morning. Great. I want you all to tell us when the third term would have been officially, when it would have started in your various institutions.
Okay. We were to come back on 28th of April. That was last month, 28th of April.
Okay. Can you start with an introduction before you answer the question, all of you?
28th April.
Can you also introduce yourself, please?
Yes. Oh, okay. Henry.
Okay. All right, Henry. Thank you. So who will go next on official reopening the third term?
I'm sorry, I can't get you well from here.
Okay, we're going to work on that. But if any of you can hear me well enough.
Okay, so can you all lower the volume on your television set? It helps. So that we just communicate through.
Okay, let's give ourselves a little breather. Let's try and sort this out backstage, and then we'll come back. We're also going to activate the phone line so you can join us. The issue is, for some schools, they're having to pay the full term fees, even though we don't know what is clearly ahead of us. Some people are doing the virtual classes, but it comes with a lot of issues. Roland, we pay the fees not just to do online. In fact, we don't pay to do online at all. We pay so we can go into the facilities for the children to spend hours there, use all the facilities, and learn and play as well. That's what we pay school fees for, correct?
I think that in the traditional or conservative terms, yes. And as a parent, I would want my children to go to school in a traditional sense and have a one-on-one sitting learning experience, a playtime, etc. I am thinking as a parent, it is also because it takes our minds off that responsibility and then giving that or handing it over to the school authorities. And now that the change has come, we're still coming to terms with how things have changed.
Okay, so hopefully we can have a stable conversation now with everything sorted. So can we say good morning again to you? Kindly introduce yourselves.
Good morning. My name is Henry Saki from Rising Sun Montessori School, Botiano.
All right. Can you continue? So you mentioned reopening would have been?
28th of April, last month.
Okay, great. Okay, can we have another person do the same?
Hi, my name is Ama Echampo from Roshar Montessori School in Tema. School would have opened today. Today would have been our first day back at school.
Okay.
So my name is Victor Afarisifa. I'm a parent. My son attends British Columbia College, which is at Ajigano in Accra.
And reopening would have been?
My name is Lucky Wachi. I'm a parent. My children attend Rising Sun Montessori School too.
Okay, so same reopening. I didn't get for one of you, but that's fine. So what's happening to your children? What's happening to the other children in your various schools, for those of you who are also teachers and administrators?
So can we start with Henry?
All right. Thank you for the question. What we are doing is, just like you said, we are having a virtual classroom where we are engaging the children in live interactions, and then we are also engaging them on other platforms where we issue them assignments and homework, where teachers get them to do these assignments, and then they return them for marking, and then the teachers also comment on whatever they have done. So it's basically like the traditional classroom learning, teaching, or teaching and learning. But just that we are not having the face-to-face classroom interaction, but it's more or less like that.
Okay. Dr. Victor Afari?
Come again?
No, I wanted Dr. Afari to also answer the question of what's happening to the children now.
Okay, so what's happening now? The school closed at the second term at the normal time, if I remember. Now the reopening was scheduled actually to commence the scheduled time with the virtual platform. But I recall that, of course, one of the challenges was that with the switch onto the virtual platform, some parents needed some time to organize themselves in terms of getting laptops, tablets for their kids, and also, most importantly, the internet connection. So I think the principal requested in discussion with parents, requested for a 1-week extension. And then this was done. And then after that, the school resumed with the virtual platform.
Okay.
So as at now, this has been ongoing. Of course, there are a couple of challenges, but maybe at the right time we'll talk about
it.
Can we get to Amma? Amma. Can we have Amma Ichampong also telling us what they have adopted, what their experiences are?
Right after the president announced the lockdown for schools, we sort of started our pilot program, prepping the parents and the children, for what is coming. So during our so-called vacation period, we were doing our pilot program. And basically what Henry said, we've been posting work, doing pre-recordings of lesson videos for the children to submit to the school. So that's pretty much what we've been doing, using various platforms such as Zoom to do face-to-face interaction with the children, and also let the children see their friends and make it seem a little normal for them. Various platforms such as Zoom.
Okay, I think we have one more person who hasn't commented. Doris?
Lucky?
Oh, that's you, Lucky. Apologies. Lucky, shall we hear you? I'm not sure we have a particularly great connection there. But what we wanted to talk about really, thank you for sharing what's been happening in the schools and with the children. But has there been a conversation about school fees, the third term school fees, and what the plan is going forward?
Can we start with Rose Sharon? Henry, just because Rose Sharon is a school manager, and we have Amma. Can you please just go ahead? You start because you manage a school.
So yes, in consultation with PTA, we are not charging full tuition, which however asks parents to sort of support the whole online process for us. Of course, data is not cheap. We have to get teachers the devices at home to be able to use that as well. So it's just a small token to support the online teaching experience for teachers and students.
Okay, so when you say they're not paying full tuition, it means that it's been discounted.
Yes, for us, we're not charging full tuition. We're basically asking them to pay less than 20% of what.
Okay, oh, that's interesting.
Of the normal tuition that they would have paid.
Okay.
Less than 300, less like 300 cedis for just to support the whole process.
For the entire term, or until you know what is ahead.
Could you repeat that, please?
So this amount that you're charging, I'm asking is if it is for the entire term, or till such a time when we know clearly what the way forward would be.
Ask the question. I didn't.
If everything is safe for us to return to school, then of course we'll be having a different conversation.
Okay, all right, great. I'm sure everybody would love that idea. But can we also hear from you, maybe Henry, for instance? Henry, you're parents. Have you had the third term conversation in terms of the fees, and what's been your reaction?
I'm sorry, I'm not a parent. I'm the head of academics here.
Oh, okay, all right, great.
Yeah.
So share that experience with us.
Just like Amma said, we are also not charging the full fee for tuition. We engage parents, and they also brought up suggestions which we look into.
I'm not saying anything in the background.
Come again, please.
Please just go ahead.
Yeah, the TV is off.
Hello?
Go ahead, Henry.
Yes, all right. So we're also not charging full tuition. We met parents, we agreed on an amount to pay. And just like Amma said, we are doing this just to support the program, especially the teachers who are going to be on the program, and then other items or materials we'll be needing for the program. And so for now, we are waiting for the government to give us the green light, and we'll also take it up from there. So we're also not charging full tuition.
Okay, but so what's the percentage? So you're charging not for the tuition for the term, you're only charging for what you're currently doing, the online.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
But what's been the reaction? Because what it means is, if this thing is lifted and school will have to be reopened, say June, then it means we have to come back and talk about fees proper. Sure.
The reaction it's been a mixed reaction. in the sense that some parents are of the view that the amount we are charging, should the government ask schools to come back, are we going to add up to make up the full term fees, or that amount will be forfeited and then we start all over again? But then I always tell them that we'll meet when we get there, we'll meet and then we'll know what to do. So for the reactions, it's been a mixed reaction. Some are very excited about the whole program, and some having one or two agitations up and down, and you know, it's part of the program. So we are just managing it.
Right.
If I could just jump in, so can I?
Well, I wanted before you come in, I wanted Ami to also make a comment because it looks like we haven't heard from Ami. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. So you hold on then. You hold on then. Then we make Amma. Because you're a school administrator and a headmistress, please go ahead and complement Henry's comments.
Okay, so for third term, we have, say, 12 weeks. And no matter when we're asked to come back in, we're still going to do the 12 weeks. So it means that our vacation will be cut short. So this is like a supplementary work that we're doing with the children. So whenever we are called back in, we're still going to do the 12 weeks. And so we'll definitely charge full fees for that period of time. So just to add to what Henry said.
Okay.
I mean, what's the experience now? Moving on, knowing that the two administrators have laid out what their own mechanisms are. How did you receive the communication from your school for your wards?
Okay, so the communication came to us. We had mixed reactions because initially the amount being charged was quite high. So we had to negotiate with them and express the fact that we're now going to invest in getting infrastructure ready for the kids. We need to get them laptops if you do not have. You need to get them tablets if you do not have. You need to have access to internet if you do not have. So the investment that you have to make in setting the kids up before even the start of the virtual class was key. And so we went on to tell them, look, if you're charging us as much as you're charging a regular, normal day in school, that's going to be a lot. Because for now, we are now acting as, teachers as well. Aside the fact that, we are working and sometimes you have to be in the office and you have to be coordinating the virtual class from the office. So it's been mixed reactions, but the good thing is that they met us halfway. The fees is somewhat subsidized. It could have been better, but it's not.
Is it the third term fees you're talking about?
Come again, please.
Is it the third term fees you're talking about?
What we understand is that it's not the third term fee. Okay. It is the online learning. And so for some of us, the hope is that everything will come back to normal. If it is not normalized, it means that's what is going to run, for a virtual third term.
Now, Doc, let me ask you. The communication for my son's school was that the schools needed to maintain the structure of human resource and running of the school, even though you as a parent, you also needed to invest in infrastructure. How did you take it? Was there empathy on your part as a parent for the school?
Yeah, I think, obviously the point is that you need to strike a balance. I mean, you need to think of yourself as a parent, how much you need to invest. But of course, the school is also an establishment, and in my case, it's a private school, so they certainly run on school fees, and that's very much on point. So in my particular case, I didn't have to do so much of investment because I also work at home, and so internet was already available. And a computer was there, but I know there was some discussions because in my kids' school we have a WhatsApp platform where all parents can interact for the various classes and also for the whole school. So I know there was a couple of exchanges at that time, and I think that in the case of my school, the British Columbia College, what came up was that if we have to run the third term completely on a virtual basis, then there will be some adjustment in the school fees. I've forgotten exactly what figures, but I know the principal made some proposals that he was not going to charge the full fees. In our case, in our circumstance, we are assuming that wherever the situation will be, if the ban is lifted, then we'll just have to switch from the virtual back to the regular distance. But we're not going to wait until, say, we're going to go another full term or what. So I think at that point, we will need to see what the adjustment has to be. Yeah, and I think that in our case, like I said, is a WhatsApp platform, and everybody has the opportunity to make suggestions directly to the principal and all those involved. So in our case, I think this is a fair process. Yeah.
And Amma, I know Rose Sharon very well in Tema, right? Community 12 is another school. Great.
Yes, it is.
Okay,
11 and 12.
Okay, so your school and the fees that you charge the children is just a little bit high up than what my children school also charge. But if you say you're just charging 300 Ghana cedis and you strike the balance, how then do you maintain your staff? And how then do you communicate that also to the parent for them to understand that, look, the school also needs to run so that when you resume, you could still have a school?
Yeah, well, like I said, it was in consultation with the PTA and, of course, our staff. And we had to do a lot of price cuts, salary cuts, but they're all up for it. You know, this is our family. Rose Sharon is a very tight-knit family, and we know we're in this together. And as much as possible, we're all going to find ways to work around it. And so that's exactly what we're doing. So the teachers are all on board. Everyone is all on board on doing that. And so it's like a general consensus for the entire school.
We have other administrators. So can you also talk about whether or not you've had to cut salaries just to make up because of the times we're in?
Yes, please. Just like Amma said, we met with the teachers and we told them, look, we are not in normal times and we all have to sacrifice one way or the other. At the end of the day, it is better you maintain your job with the letter you get now than to lose it now, than to lose your job now. So we came to a common consensus. We agreed that then this is what we are going to do. We give you this amount for the period until the government asks schools to come back. And the reception was good. They accepted it. And so I think we have no issue because it was done based on agreement between management and staff. And so for salary cut, definitely it happened. And I think we are all good to go with it.
Okay. Has it occurred to you, maybe the parents can also take this, particularly last week there was a lot of conversations on whether or not the ban on gathering was going to be lifted. So the conversation about children going back to school came up so strongly. Have you thought about your children going back into the physical classroom?
Yes. In fact, just last 3 days when the president came to, I was thinking the ban will be lifted for us to go back, but unfortunately it didn't happen. But in whatever case, we are just getting ready. Should it be today, we'll still come back to school and continue with normal work. And it's a hope that this ban will be lifted soon so we can come to school and then continue the work.
That's a very optimistic view there. But Lucky, you're a parent, are you in for it?
To be honest with you, with the times we're in right now, I'm not too comfortable with them going back to school immediately. Should the ban be lifted, some of us will delay, in having our kids go in. We want to ensure that it's safe for them in the first place. These are children we are talking about, and sometimes they throw caution to the wind. So you want to be assured that their safety is secured. You want to go back and do a few checks to see if, the protocols are being observed, is the hand washing, social distancing, the use of the sanitizer. Because seriously, even for the corporate world, when the ban was lifted, you don't immediately go into the office, you gradually worm your way into it. So it's kind of a challenge for us as parents. You need to be completely sure that, your children will be safe. These are things you do not have control over. And so it's kind of unsettling.
What about you, Doc?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not an easy, and I share some of the same sentiments with Lucky. In my case, it just happened that I have to be at home and work from home for the moment, of course, because the borders are also closed, so I am not based here actually. So that somehow has helped, because then initially, you need to be there, make sure the kids set up on internet, and we also know the challenges that we have with internet connection. So basically, you yourself also become a teacher. I mean, this is basically very much obvious. And sure, in fact, initially we even had to do assignments, and then I had to attach them, and make sure the kids are on email. The kids need to be very disciplined with time. Make sure, because everybody has to be started at the same time. There's no excuse for that. So those things, of course, take a lot of your own time. And if I had not been at home, I'm not so sure how this will have worked out. Of course, my wife will have certainly done that as well. But it's certainly not easy. And of course, we certainly all have to come on board to assist. But it's not easy at all from the way, especially if you also have to work. That's really a big challenge. Yeah.
Okay, so beyond the doom and gloom that we all seem to be painting, we also know that it looks like the way of life has changed for this generation of people we have in the world, and especially in our world. How have the kids been able to innovate, become very accustomed to, and the new way of learning?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm to continue, I mean, like I said, the beginning, the adjustment was really tough, not only for the kids. I mean, me, myself, also having to stay at home. So I think the adjustment was for all of us. And then now you need to now get into making sure you provide the resources and all that. But at the same time, there have been a lot of opportunities to leverage in the sense that, the kids get used to their teachers just doing that. Now parents have the opportunity to see directly what their kids are doing. Previously we had to rely and wait until we had teacher-parent conferences to go and know how much your kids are under. Now I can see, in fact, the school that my kid is, they have a software now, a school management administration software, which allows you, to see their grades, and they post assignments directly on the same platform. There's a live class option there. So I get much more better understanding of what my kid is able to do and what is not able to do, and how much support I'm able to provide. Yes, but like you said, adjustment was not that easy. Now he's able to do much more emails. He's able to do attachment and stuff like that. Yes, there's still that aspect of the face-to-face interaction, which is sometimes a bit lacking. That bond between the teachers and the children is not there. So that is a bit of a challenge at the moment. I know in one of the other schools where my kid is attending, they have a huge problem now with graduation. And they are talking about virtual graduation. And some parents and kids don't seem to be happy at all. That's a secondary school anyway. And at the moment, I even have a challenge because they're still talking about how to get that somehow semi-virtual or even completely virtual at the moment, since the ban is now up to 31st and the graduation is supposed to have happened towards the end of this month. So yeah, there are pros and cons, and of course there are opportunities to leverage. But yes, the COVID itself is going to change a lot of how life we're going to live our lives anyway. Certain things are not going to be the same, believe it or not. So it's a whole adjustment, but I think for kids, they also learn very fast and they adjust very fast, much better than parents, I will assume. And so, yeah, I mean, they are coping quite well, but we're all looking out forward to see what comes after the COVID is actually gone, and we have to face a real situation, how things are going to change after that.
Definitely. Yeah. Can we have Lucky on this issue as well?
Yes, I would want to say that the adjustment, the transition, from the physical environment to a virtual environment hasn't been easy, but it's been quite interesting. It gives you the opportunity to learn a lot of new things. I am saying that for parents who are not IT inclined, they get to lose out on this good opportunity. Because, for instance, you need to enroll your child, onto the Zoom class, they go into the Google Classroom. Now, interestingly, the children are able to, do their own assignments and turn it in. The teacher marks and they get to see their marks. Hitherto, I didn't know that my children were that good, in IT. And these days, they are surprising me. Somebody comes back to tell me, oh, I was chatting with my friend on the side. I sent my friend a private message. I'm like, oh, whoa, it's working. I think that it's propelling the children to a different level, in terms of technology. They are learning really fast. We struggled the first 2 days to, have control over it. But today, I can be in the office. I just need to give them the ID and the password. They log into the class, partake in the face-to-face interactions. After that, they go on, do their classwork, do their homeworks, and then turn it in. And for me, I think it's good. I have a 5-year-old, and that is where the challenge is. When it's for too long, they start to get uncomfortable. But interestingly, because of the interaction with their teachers engage them. And so you see that he's involved. Okay. It's interesting for him. After that, the assignments are sent, via WhatsApp for you to get them to do. The challenge with some of the assignments are that if you need to print them out, for the child to answer. Some of them come with drawings for the preschool, and the child cannot draw. And so you need to print it out for the child, to answer. You take snapshots and now send to the teacher for feedback. It's been quite an interesting journey. I think we can do better. Okay. Sometimes the challenges come with electricity power going off. When power goes off, then you are stuck.
You lose the internet connectivity.
One of the major challenges, yes. And then internet connectivity. I think if data is subsidized in these times, it will be of great benefit to us. Okay. Because trust me, the amount that is going into internet, it's amazing. You cannot believe it. Yeah. In a matter of 2 days, I'm trying to monitor data usage because it's a Zoom class, it's live interaction. You do not want to have interactions, and it's costing so much. That's one of the things we need to look at. Internet is not a big deal.
Yeah.
But I want
can we hear from the administrators also?
Before you answer that, I wanted to also say that there are some parents who are also cheating for the children because you're not there. This is not a classroom.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we have Amma and Henry comment on that?
Okay. Just like Lucky said, the transition has not been easy. But then we've been able to get teachers and students to work hard to get this thing running smoothly now. For challenges, we can't take them out because, this is something new. This hasn't been a traditional way of teaching and learning. And so doing something new, we're definitely going to encounter challenges. And just like Lucky said, one of our challenges for now is the network connectivity. The network, is on and off, that kind of thing. So we have developed another strategy. That is, we get a live recorded version of the lesson. A live recorded version of the lesson. So should the network give us challenge, or should we encounter any challenge with the network, quickly the teacher gives them the recorded version of the lesson. They play a video, listen to it, whatever lesson or whatever message they want the children to get. They put it there for them to watch. And then there's this interaction on the Google Classroom where we engage them in assignments and class exercises as well. So the transition has not been easy, but I'm so grateful too for the work we've done here and how far we've been able to come with the program.
Can we have Amma comments?
Well, basically the same thing. We understand the challenges here in Ghana, and so we know one of them is, of course, erratic power supply and our internet. So we also pre-record our lessons, and so Zoom is just a way of, interacting and getting to know whether the children understood the lesson, a time for Q&A session, also get to see their friends and interact with them. So Zoom, you can't really do like a very meaningful learning on that platform, but you have to do a pre-recording. And then the children can, pause. It's like a teacher on demand now. You can pause, replay. If you don't understand something, you can just replay it and listen to it. You know, you have Google Classroom, which has been very, very great. We are grateful for that platform because it makes it free for all schools. So the children post assignments and lesson notes. The children are getting very used to and even have advanced in the way they use the technology tools. Making attachments, you know.
Sharing screens as well.
Exactly, sharing screens, doing a lot of things that they would have done, say, 4 weeks ago. So they've really advanced, and I feel that at the end of it all, it's been a blessing in disguise, honestly, because our children have advanced in so many ways. And they've seen how they can use technology. They know that now it's easier. It's not that
easier.
Exactly. It's not alien to them anymore because they're becoming very comfortable. My 5-year-old is using the mouse like he's a 30-year-old because now he's forced to do it. So it's been a great experience. Of course, the challenges are there, but that's one thing about educators. We are going to do whatever it takes to make sure learning is achieved. So that's.
Thank you all for sharing. We want to invite other parents, school administrators, if you're watching us, to join us. If you've got any comments or if you have questions, you can call us now, 0302-211-69102. But just before our viewers also join us, I want to throw in this question. Do you think about, because you're all parents as well, does it occur to you that the children could be doing something else apart from what we're all thinking they should be doing? Could their minds be taken off what's happening in the class and do something? After all, they have the internet now. They can do other things with it.
Yes, that is true. We know definitely our children sometimes try to outsmart with the parents. And that is why we've also arranged with parents to make provisions, or to make provisions for someone to be with the student whilst they are having the interaction or whilst they are on the net. We know definitely that students will always like to explore, to go to places. After all, I'm alone, I have my freedom now. Why don't I do what I couldn't do when Mama was around? That kind of thought will come in definitely. So we've always arranged with parents. And so just like I think Lucky said that earlier, some parents have become virtual teachers now because they have to work from the house or from home. And so they are using the time as well to monitor their work. Those who are to go to work and so have to leave the children in the care of their maid or their house help, we also advise them that they should ensure that whosoever is going to be in charge of that ward must be IT inclined or must know something about whatever is happening. So the child cannot say, I'm in the classroom or I'm on Zoom with my teacher. That person must be able to tell that, yes, the student is on Zoom with the teacher or the student is on the Google Classroom learning. And so for that, it will definitely come. But then we've also made arrangements for parents to be supervising. And that is when you come home, you can check. I want to see the assignment you did today. I want to see the note you were given today. If possible, you call the class teacher and then you find out. And, as parents, let me just chip in this. You can also track what your child or your children do on the net. That is, you can always use the Google search or the search engine. You go there, you type something, and then it gives you the other site that has been visited. It gives you the other site. So you will know whether the child has done something else apart from the learning that he or she was supposed to do. And so it's all about we paying extra attention to what our children are doing. But the challenge is it will come, but then we have to be up and doing, and we surely overcome.
Yeah, let me just add this. We can't mother our children every day. We can't hover over them every day. We have to let them start being accountable for themselves. So again, like Henry said, placing restrictions on your tablet or on your computer is very, very important. You can restrict your child. You can only play a certain game for, say, 30 minutes or an hour a day, and once it's gone off. When you come back home, your work should have been done. So when you place these restrictions and also give the children that responsibility to be accountable for themselves, that's a good learning experience from them.
Yeah.
So So you don't always have to, no one has to just be by you. Like you don't have to have a supervisor at all times. For the older kids, they should be able to control themselves and plan accordingly. So, I mean, if you do that, you can give them rewards. Hey, on Friday, we can have movie nights with the whole family, or we can have ice cream or whatever it is. But if, you have to incentivize these things and make them accountable for their own action. You can't always be there. Put restrictions on their tablets. They can't go on social media sites. They can play certain games for a certain amount of time. So let's start trusting our children. They're capable of doing it.
Well, thank you, Amma. Movie night. Yeah, let me go to Bolga, where Michael is calling from. Michael, do you have movie nights with your kids? How are the virtual learning platform for your children in Bolga going?
In fact, it's really troubling because I teach in a village in the Bongo district.
What's the village name?
Adaboya Primary.
Adaboya Primary.
Yes, please.
So what are you doing by way of innovation in this period?
There is a network problem generally at that community. And most of the people there, they don't even have electricity. So it's a challenge. It's very challenging. So I want the government to also consider, what about those people? What is the government doing about those learners too?
Yeah.
Their colleagues are enjoying somewhere in the cities and the towns, and we, those who are in the villages, we are not getting access to all these things. So you can see that it is to our disadvantage.
Absolutely.
So government should do something about it. That is my concern.
Right. Let's go to Alajo. We have Martin.
Yeah. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Martin. And I hope you're feeling well. Now, are your children going through any virtual learning education?
No. The only thing I've made arrangement for the teacher to be giving her assignments now and then so that she'll do, and we'll forward it back to her for her assessment.
Okay.
Assistant. Yeah.
You don't sound too exciting about it. What is it in particular that's not working for you?
I wish all the schools would have been in the position to be doing this e-learning, the virtual learning, so that at least they can all be at par.
Okay. Your children, the school they go to, is it a private school or a public school?
Yeah, it's a private school.
Okay. So Mama V, it means even the private schools, all of them are not the same?
No, absolutely not. Let's go to, but Martin, thank you for sharing. Let's go to Takwa. We've got Bernard. Good morning, Bernard. Hello, Bernard.
Yeah, hello, good morning.
Good morning, you're on air. Let's hear you.
I'm calling from Takwa.
Okay.
Okay, I'm a teacher.
Okay.
Yeah, we are also doing the virtual learning, and it is helping a lot.
So this is a private school?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And it's helping a lot, but my problem is the network.
The network.
I think for this time, I think our network operators must give us some credit.
As in what, free credit,
the
you mean?
network is too expensive.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
so if the government can do something about it so that for Ghana here, our network system is too much expensive compared to other countries.
All right. Okay, so Bernard is on the network issue. Eric is in Akosombo. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning, madam.
Yes, sir. What's been your own experience with your children?
My challenge is, most of the parents, the education level is very poor. What are the government doing to help us? So that our children also, because some of us we are not able to attend school, and we find it difficult for the learning how to explain it to our children. So I want the audience also to ask me about that.
So does it mean in Takrade, in Akosombo, your children are not?
No, the parents. Maybe the parent is not an educated.
Eric, are you a parent or you're speaking as a...
Yes, I'm a parent.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Are your children going through virtual means of learning?
Yeah, in terms of the technology like this, I don't have any idea about it. So to explain it to the children, I find a challenge to support them.
Very understandable. Let's go to Takrade.
I think, Eric, you should leave your number with our producer, okay? Let's see if we can link you up to any of our administrators or maybe somebody else after the show. Let's take our last caller, Roland.
Yeah, we have Ken Takrade. Ken.
Good morning.
Morning. What's your experience with the new learning platforms for your children? If you're a teacher,
I think it's been a bit expensive considering the data that you have to buy for the kids. For some of the subjects, they don't understand. They have to go to the internet or the videos. And it's a bit expensive because sometimes I have to consume about 60 Ghana cedis plus to get them these videos so that they can get a better understanding of what they are doing. And I don't know whether the government has a package for some of these things because it's getting too expensive.
Yeah.
Considering the free education that we are enjoying, that means you are paying double more than the free education. So the government has to do something about this particular. I teach something that they are doing. So that is my concern. It's getting a bit expensive.
So a cost-related issue or concern.
Exactly.
Right. How old are your children, and which section of basic education are they?
No, mine is in the XX level. He's supposed to write the final exams maybe within any time soon. But
well, thank you, Ken. Ken from Takrade is our last caller, and let's get some last comment from you, and this has to be snappy. From all of you, first the parent. How can or should this be a new normal? When we have mainstream school, we reopen and we're supposed to go to classroom face to face. And for you, the administrators, how are you going to incorporate this in the normal physical learning programming when we resume normal life? I start first with the parents. Doc, start.
Okay, so the first point I want to emphasize is that this issue of the COVID and all that has come out with it has made us recognize the role of teachers, because now we as the parents have been in the house and managing the kids. So there's going to be more recognition for what teachers are actually doing in their role. Now, when you leave your kids for the teachers, we are also experienced. Of course, I train myself as a professional teacher. Now, the main point here is that blended learning, I personally see, is going to be a way forward. Even when we come back to normal classroom, with all that experience that the kids have got, and also, of course, the teachers, is not going to get lost. So I'm sure even with normal listening, we're still going to have blended learning approaches where we have online and sometimes even in the class. I mean, to improve the quality of teaching and learning materials with videos and things being incorporated in class. And sometimes some classes probably being held virtually, depending on what the circumstance is.
No.
So I think that this is my personal is that we're going to embrace this as a way forward, and it's going to change our own lives. And it's certainly going to help us improve, especially on ICT and its use in the teaching and learning environment for the better.
Okay. Ami?
Yes, I would want to say that COVID has come, as a blessing in disguise. There are positives to it, though it has a lot of negative connotations. We should look at the bright. I know going forward, a lot of things are going to change. We're going to have, a mixture of the two, like Doc said. It will be good to blend both, physical interactions and the online learnings. Some of the assignments can be posted there for the children. They get to, submit some assignments, via the Google Classroom. For me, I think it's good. You've seen how they are doing well. They're embracing it. The physical interaction is very important for the children, that we cannot take away from them. So that is critical, that's important, but the virtual, has come to stay. That is where we are going now. Even in the world, I was quite impressed when I heard the president say that they had their ECOWAS meeting, via Zoom. So it means it's going to save us some cost as a nation too as well.
Right.
So yes.
All right, Snappy, 30 seconds for you each, the administrators and the heads. Let me start with Amma.
Okay, so thank you very much. Let me just say that I'm happy you guys invited us and to talk about this. And just so you know that It is, like you said, a blessing in disguise, and we'll come out even stronger than we were before. Blended learning has always been there. It's a great opportunity for our children to learn more. This is not a new thing. A lot of schools have been doing some form of virtual learning for a very long time. And so I'm glad it's finally hitting home to parents and letting them appreciate it even more. Teachers are not asleep. They're not, contrary to a lot of public opinion. We're working as hard, even harder, to create the digital contents that our children need.
Henry, 30 seconds.
Right. Okay. We once again thank you for this opportunity, and we are now in a technological world, or we are now going digital. And with this new arrangement, or with this new platform, we are going to incorporate it into our physical teaching and learning when school reopens, especially with assignments. Now we have issues where students don't take assignment home, and with the Google Classroom now setting in, the child will have no excuse to say, I didn't receive my homework. And so we are really going to merge the two and make it a better experience for both teachers and students, and even parents as well. So I think it's going to be a positive one in the future. Thank you.
Well, so, Mawavi, we have to wrap
Well,
up.
thank you, gentlemen and ladies as well, for your time, spending time with us. We really appreciate it. We'll take a breather. When we come back, we'll take you live to the Information Ministry. There's an update on how Ghana is managing its coronavirus situation. Stay with us.